Welcome back. This is 26.2 at 50, my channel where I talk about my journey to train for and run the Portland Marathon this October at 50 years old. It is July 20th. This is a Sunday, and I just got back home a little while ago from running 14 miles. So today was my long, slower pace distance run. This is actually the first time this year going past the half marathon distance. So I'm a little bit surprised that I'm actually feeling pretty good. After both of my half marathons that I've run this year, I had a lot of like foot soreness after each run. So I wasn't sure what would happen today going past that distance, but my feet actually feel good. I definitely feel like I ran a really long time because it took me about 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I feel good. I think I definitely really lucked out with weather this weekend. It's kind of been cooler for, it's actually been kind of awesome running weather for late July. So when I went out running today and also yesterday when I ran 7 miles, it was in like the high 50s Fahrenheit, which is just fantastic for running and like honestly a little bit unseasonably cool at this time of year. So really appreciated that. Earlier in the week was kind of a different story. We were in more of a heat wave phase earlier in the week, with the highs in the kind of in the 90s Fahrenheit, and my body definitely did not love that. So, for example, on Wednesday, the highs were kind of about mid like 95 Fahrenheit, like very, very warm. And I got out early, but I ran 7 on Wednesday, so not a short run. So like in general, like with this week was kind of like the kind of a big ramping up week in my training plan. So I ran 22 last week and I ran 36 this week. So a big step up. But yeah, that Wednesday run, like, I got up early, I did the run, went to work, and I think between the exertion and just how hot it was that day, I was kind of asleep on my feet at about 1 in the afternoon. So as I go through this, I'm definitely, because we're running into August yet. There's just the hottest month of the year. So, as I go through this, I know I'm going to really have to listen to my body and just be very attentive to like how the running is affecting me physically. Yeah, it sucks to be really tired all the time, but I'm still doing it. Today's run, it was good. It was mentally, it was interesting. It was just like, it felt like I spent a long time out there. And I guess that kind of gets through to the topic of what I wanted to discuss today in the kind of like runner's advice portion of the video, which is kind of the pros and cons of doing your training solo or running like with a friend or running in a group. Um, Honestly, like I like running with someone else. Like I really enjoy running groups when I've been part of them. It's so much nicer to like have someone to talk to and just go through the whole experience with someone else. But I do pretty much all of my training solo. And honestly, it's just like a practical, logistical thing. So if you're going to train for a marathon, what you're signing up for is like running 5 days a week for 18 weeks. And unless, you're like retired or independently wealthy or something, like fitting all of those runs into your life and your schedule, like it's a challenge. And that's just your schedule, right? So having to kind of coordinate with another person, that sounds like I don't think I could figure that out. And, it's like for me, it's more important to just get the runs done and to just be really consistent with it. Um, and I guess another thing to think about is like I'm pretty good about staying like disciplined with a training plan and just like, okay, I just go out and do it even like when I don't feel like it, I go out and do the run. But, if your experience is different and you're struggling a bit with motivation, like don't let someone else's scheduling conflicts be like a reason you don't run. Um, that would be my advice. And another thing to think about, I guess, is like even if you have friends that you like to run with, is like your goals kind of compatible with their goals. So I have a friend, one friend I'm thinking about, he's like maybe like 5 or 6 years older than I am, and he runs, but he is like, in recent years, he had like some bad runner's injuries that like it's taken a long time to recover from. So he's running again, but like he's not doing races, and like if he did sign up for a race, I mean it would be like a 5K or a 10K, like, so there's no way he would have been out there with me today like running 14 miles at like 10 and a half minutes a mile. Like it's just not where he's at physically. And then I have another friend that I'm thinking of who it's like kind of the opposite situation where like my other friend, he is actually training for a marathon right now. And his marathon is in the fall, like mine is. But for one thing, his marathon is about a month earlier than mine. So where he's at in his training, he's running like much longer distances than I am right now. And the other problem is that this friend is 20 years younger than I am, and he's trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So he's looking to finish in 3 hours, which is like an hour faster than I'm hoping to finish. So, I mean, realistically, like training pace wise, like his training runs are going to be like 2 minutes per mile faster than mine for him to hit that time. So, like, that's not going to work. Like, I would be like busting a gut trying to keep up with him. So, like, I'm kind of like, I can't, it's definitely something that's in the back of my mind. Like, you know, when the race training is done, it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to running with these guys again. But right now, it's not really going to happen. Another thing I do want to talk about in terms of running solo would be like the safety considerations. So, if you run in, you know, an urban environment or, you know, be wary of your surroundings, I guess. Like if you're in an urban environment and, you know, running loops for marathoners like can cover like a lot of distance. So be careful that you're not running in an unsafe area. I guess I can tell this story. It seems funnier now than it did at the time. So, my mom was a marathoner and she was very serious about it. So in the city where I grew up, she ran the marathon like 5 years in a row. Like it was like her life revolved around her training. She was very serious about it. And so, of course, you know, she had kids, she worked full time, and you know, how she fit the training into her life was doing it very early I remember doing it mostly during the week. So she would get up at like, you know, 4 in the morning, drive into the city where she worked, run in the city, and then like I guess they had like a gym, like a locker room facility where she worked. So then she would run and then she would just get ready and work. And some of the areas where she was doing, you know, her training runs were like not nice areas in the city where I grew up. And the local police kind of took notice of her. And when after like a few weeks of doing this, she would start running in these not so nice areas, and like a police cruiser would kind of appear, like these cops just on the beat at 4 or 5 in the morning, and they would just like roll right alongside her while she was running. And they would chat with her, but they were just like there to make sure nothing happened. If you don't know a lot of marathoners, this might be like an introduction to some of the psychology of distance runners, that like they can be just very single-minded about their running and their training. And yeah, it might not necessarily occur to them that it's a bad idea to run in an area like that. So, I mean, I would definitely say be safe, you know, be aware of your surroundings, especially if you're running alone. And, you know, another thing to think about that I have experience with is like, even if the neighborhood that you live in and that you run in is a very safe place, like if you're running at really odd hours, which is totally normal for training for a marathon, like again, you're fitting it into your day, so you might run really late at night or really late at morning and in the morning, and getting outside at these odd hours, like you might see a side of your neighborhood that like you don't really recognize. So when I was training for the Portland Marathon in 2022, we actually lived in a different area, in a different neighborhood. And where we lived in at the time was very suburban. It was very like white collar, suburban type of place. Like think like tech executives and engineers. That was kind of our community. And it was a very safe area. But so as we got into like the hot months of that summer, and I was waking up like really early to do my training runs just to, like contrary to what Portlandia might have you think, like it does get like very hot and sunny and dry here in the summers. So, yeah, I would be out there at like 5 in the morning just to, it's like, okay, I want to get this 18-19 mile run done before it's too hot. And I was really surprised at like how many more like unhoused people there were in that neighborhood than, just even if you're out there at like 7 in the morning, you don't see these people. But it was like, wow, this is different. I mean, nothing happened. Like I never had any sort of incident with any of these people, but I don't know your experience. I don't know your perspective, your situation on that. So I guess I just tell the story to say that, your neighborhood might look a little bit different at these kind of really odd hours. Other than that, I would just kind of obvious practical advice. If you're running in the dark, it's not really an issue for me because I run early, and in this part of the country, the sun comes up at like 5 in the morning. So, but if you're running in the dark, like especially if you're training for a spring marathon, so you're training in the winter, like be smart, like wear reflective clothing, or clothing that's like white or brightly colored, like make yourself easy to see. Yeah, I don't know, as far as like carrying anything to protect yourself, I mean, I've never felt like unsafe out there, so I don't really have a recommendation, but I don't know, it depends on your comfort level and your experience and where you're running. So I don't really have a recommendation. Anyway, that's about all I've got on this subject. So thank you for watching. And please subscribe or leave me a comment. That would be fantastic. I'm hoping to mix up these videos a little bit. I actually had a plan today to do this video live at the end of my training run, kind of right by the shore of the river, to kind of show you all where I run. And I haven't given up on the idea, but I need to plan it a little bit better. So where I run, it's like right along the Columbia River, which also happens to be the flight path for the Portland International Airport. So most of the time when I was out running, there were no planes taking off, but then right as I was finishing and starting to do this video, it was just plane. So the audio was just, it was like, this isn't going to work. So I'm going to try to mix it up, but yeah, I thank you for watching and for, just being engaged. So have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.